All right. Okay. So once again, hello, Vel. My name is Chris. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. Um, Today's podcast we have Vel, and she is a cuddle therapist living in Hawaii, right? And she's going to be talking a little bit about cuddle therapy. It's kind of a new thing for me. I haven't heard about it for a while, but as you know, for people on this podcast, we spend a lot of time trying to open up new ideas and explain different ways of like living your best life here on the internet. So, Belle, thank you for coming. Could you basically talk a little bit about cuddle therapy and what it is as a whole, and then you can start focusing more about why you do that, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, totally fine. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you for that, for inviting me on to talk about cuddle therapy and hopefully bring more awareness and more familiarity with what I do and what many others are trying to do. So cuddle therapy, while it's called cuddle therapy, I consider it more of like platonic intimacy to create a connection with someone. A lot of people have either they don't have time to invest in getting to know someone or creating that connection the normal way through meetups and dating or whatever. So I offer sort of like a fast track to sharing intimacy. And while the goal is typically to embrace someone or to have physical contact with someone, whether it's holding hands, hugging, just touching each other's arms, or just, whatever, it doesn't necessarily always involve touch, which is why I say it's intimacy rather than, cuddling.
So I do agree that the term cuddle therapy probably gets the wrong idea. I mean, I do understand that it's one part of it, but the touching part is crucial. And I was wondering if you could explain a little bit about why you think touch is so important these days.
Oh, well, touch is vital for any being's survival, not just humans, non-human animals, plants, everything. Just like people, children, and babies literally die if they do not receive any level of touch. So it's not so much as this day and age, it's period. I think that is actually the problem or the issue with this world is everyone or a vast majority of the population of this earth, they're deprived of touch and they don't even know it. Like it's amazing how we've forgotten the healing abilities of touch. I mean, I don't even know how further to explain that. I mean, there's literally a neurochemical response to intimacy and touch, and it's more profound with touch and with touch with someone that genuinely cares and that you have a connection with, whether it's romantic, platonic. It just has to exist. Like cuddling with someone that you are not on good terms with is not, ideal, but it could help the situation. Right. But definitely touch is vital for humans to survive and thrive. Beings, period, I should say, not just humans.
Right. So that's actually pretty interesting, because I know in some parts of the world, like touch is actually like forbidden and is only like for romantic relationships, for example. And I also find that even when family members touching, like parents touching their kids is sometimes also a little bit weird as well. So how would you like market, if you would, well, let me not go with that. I would figure out what type of client would be an ideal client.
So I want to touch on what you said earlier about how societies, there's this stigma around touch.
Yes.
There's this societal idea or that touch is saved for romantic or sexual relationships.
Right.
But that is not, it's my stance that that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
While, yes, it's true, like, you know, you can be romantic with someone and experience those touch. You don't have to be sexual or romantic. Like, touch is totally sexualized. And it's my idea, or it's my stance, that we need to bring back platonic intimacy. I mean, and you mentioned families, how there's a thing where sometimes parents touching their own children, I mean, like, you know, in a loving manner, not in any nefarious ways.
Right, of course. Right.
Yeah, consider, I was talking about this just the other day. Think about how brothers don't even embrace for that long. Like, and usually something drastic has to happen, whether it's a funeral or a wedding or a birthday. It's not like a common place to just hold your family member for an extended brace.
Well, when it going back to, like, you know, like family, like siblings and stuff like that, it addresses a cultural part of it. That's exactly what I'm trying to get to. So it's a cultural thing. And because it's a cultural issue, sometimes it's very hard to be embraced. Like, I think that humans are very social creatures. We look at everyone else around us, and we try to, like, fit in. That's like something natural, I think we try to do. Very rarely, you have the introverts and extroverts. So, like, people like to fit in, or people like to stand out or step away. Those are the types of ideas I'm trying to talk about when it comes down to cultural and social, you know, environments. But I think that when it comes down to the understanding of getting people to be more, I guess, I don't know how to, it's not really intimate, but like able to comfort some people. I think it takes practice. I think it has to be something that that is embraced in a community.
I hear you. So I'm indigenous, and
can you explain to the people what that actually means?
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Oh, you want me?
Explain. Yeah, explain when you say indigenous. Just tell everyone what that actually means to you. This way, it doesn't lose the.
Okay. So I'm an Aboriginal. So I live in Hawaii. I'm Hawaiian. I am a mixture of Aboriginal bloodlines. I'm Native American. I am. I don't like to use the term Black or African American, but I am a Coppertone. I'm a descendant of a Coppertone natives of America. I have roots in China. I have roots in Europe.
You have all different types of ethnic background.
Yes, I'm from all over the world. So
right.
And with that being said, in the Hawaiian culture and a lot of indigenous cultures, we shared intimacy with every other person who was near to us or in our immediate community. Right. And it was easy for us to accept others because we saw ourselves in the others. So so I think that's part of what I'm sharing. The aloha, you know, is what everyone calls it.
The aloha, as in the love, type of the love.
The care, genuine care. I genuinely care for people. Right. So it's just a part of who I am.
Now, with that being said, do you feel that it's more comfortable to be a cuddle therapist within your community, personal community?
You have to remember that we have been ruled by America for quite some time. So a lot of the American ways have taken over. And there has even been quite a disconnect even from my own culture. You know, I don't know if you're aware, but
can you give an example? Like what?
So many years ago, and my great grandmother had to live through this. If you come to Hawaii and you hear the language spoken, it's not our original language. It was illegal to speak Hawaiian for quite some time. So when I met my great grandmother, she didn't talk.
Right.
So I missed out on, whatever knowledge she could have passed on to me.
Right.
From the old Hawaiian ways. But so that's what I mean. Like, and majority, if you even look at our, at our population, there's not many Hawaiians left. There's like almost no 100% Hawaiian. It's, I'm not saying that they do not exist, but they are very, very limited in numbers.
Can you explain about the Hawaiian language? Like, what is it? Could you explain like what the name of it is? And
Olelo Hawaii. So
Hawaii.
yeah,
Okay.
so every island had like their own dialect. And when it was made illegal, most of us are not born speaking the language. We have to learn it secondhand. And I call it a bastardized version of our language because it's European, or not European, but American influence.
Right.
They're trying to piece back our language. So a lot of our meanings are lost.
Yeah. So with that being said, do you feel that maybe you being a cuddle therapist could bridge that connection of like, one, helping people to be who are maybe have some sort of descendant from the Hawaiian community, to learning about the language, somehow like maybe incorporating certain things into your services?
I don't speak Hawaiian. I know only a few words, but it's funny that you mentioned that, as I wanted. So in a cuddle session, we do meditation and breathing exercises and eye gazing exercises. And I've been wanting so badly to find someone who speaks Hawaiian fluently. I would prefer, there's a particular title for those who are born Hawaiian is their first language, and I can't think of the
Hawaiian
term
pidgin.
right now.
Is it the pidgin?
No, I mean real Hawaiian. Like I wanted to create like a guided meditation with a Hawaiian chant. And I don't know if you ever heard Hawaiian spoken. I'm getting chicken skin just thinking about it, but it's like you could feel the mana, or the power, the vibe. It just rings through your body. It's right. Amazing. And I want to share that with the world. Like, I've been going through meditations and I haven't heard any like Hawaiian guided meditation in our language, and I just think it would be phenomenal to share that with the world. And people who have heard it, the language being spoken, they're like, it's so beautiful. There's just something about it. And I would like to.
Do you use any music for that?
Not typically. We usually it's usually a quiet zone. It's quiet, okay. Yeah, I've never but I wanted to incorporate like binaural beats. If I do find someone to work with me to create these Olelo Hawaii guided meditations, I would love to incorporate that, because it's a piece of me, but and I'm sharing that with the world. It's all about sharing the love, right. in all of its expressions, or
do you feel like that's like, sorry, but I'm trying to make sure that I get
go ahead.
Right. So do you feel that the binaural the binaural beats, or like the how would you basically would say the tone, or set the tone, or the mood for this particular session, if would be beneficial with some of the Hawaiian musical undertones?
Definitely. Definitely.
Do you provide that anywhere on your site, on your
No,
Instagram at all?
I don't have a website
Oh,
yet. And no, I don't, but I did. I purchased a program a while ago and I'm working on my own binaural beats, and I really want to find someone with the voice, for me, because I don't speak it. It would probably take me an eternity to learn it.
right.
But
I mean,
yeah.
it's really interesting because of the fact that I think that the therapeutic mood does have its different tastes. Like there's other different cuddle therapists in the world, and it would be great if like many different therapists can I guess what we would want to say, they can all like be diverse and distinguished between each other, and then that way that people could go to different ones for different reasons. Like for example, if you wanted, like I'm assuming like maybe there's a few people who are a Hawaiian also, or who have descendants from Hawaiian that wants to express, some sort of like therapeutic need, and then you can utilize that as a way to, I guess, attract more clients in that particular realm, if that makes sense.
You could.
I'm just trying to get out. I'm just trying to get like an idea on the essence of the Hawaiian historical being, and then also the cuddle therapy.
Well, Hawaiians, like, I'm not gonna say that they were perfect, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm talking about my ancestors, but it was sharing like love, expressing it. Like there's something that we always do, or we used to always do here, and that was whenever we meet a friend, a close friend or a family relative, we do something called honi honis, which we kiss. That's kissing. So you kiss your family or your friend on the cheeks, and you embrace them. Especially if you haven't seen them for a long time, you embrace them for a moment. So you can essentially say that I've been embracing those that I cared about ever since I was a little child.
Right.
So that love has been showered on me. So it just comes easily. And when I see that people have an aversion to touch and things like that, it's possibly because they didn't receive that, you know what I'm saying, or see that as a commonplace through their childhood. And I think that could be part of, the issue, or the disconnect is what I don't want to call it an issue, but the disconnect.
So with that being said, do you feel that that there are some challenges then being a co-therapist?
Definitely. There's quite a few. So
can you name some for us? Like maybe 2 or 3?
Well, the challenges it starts from trying to market it or acquiring new clients. Like people call me and then they'll express embarrassment or shame for contacting me. And I'm like, there's no need for that, because touch is a necessity. It is not a want.
Right.
It is not a want. It is a necessity. There's so that it's marketing, getting people to view cuddling as something that is acceptable, like as far as touch, like everyone thinks, or I don't want to say everyone, that's too broad, but many people view things like cuddling as something that should not be shared with a stranger, or someone who is they're not intimate with. And I think that it needs to be viewed as platonic, like a platonic connection, like something that is available to just friends. Another one of the issues is the fact that some people, they hear cuddle therapy and the first thing they think about is sex work. And so to distinguish myself away from those that do use cuddle therapy as a precursor to sex work, because they do exist. There's a woman that has a podcast right now, and she's a cuddle therapist but a sex worker as well. So
Mhm.
I do not want to be associated with that at all. And I want to show people that it can be platonic
Mhm.
as long as the boundaries and are respected. Also, another thing I'm noticing since I've opened up to the general public is many people do not know or understand boundaries and consent. So I have to teach them, and it's quite interesting for me, like that adults, they do not fully grasp the concept of boundaries and consent.
So can you explain? Do you have like I've many cuddle therapists or people, even people who have like they provide some sort of private sessions. Um, will usually have like lay down the rules
Mhm.
before they actually go into these particular types of like sessions. Like, do you lay those things, like can you maybe address like what are those boundaries and what they shouldn't do and what they should do?
Yeah, I
Like,
actually have. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I mean, you can go on. I'm just trying
Okay.
to make sure I say it and where I can catch it.
Okay. Okay.
When I'm
You're good.
talking.
You're good. So whenever I have a new client, if they book through Booksy, then they have to read and sign everything online. Okay. And
Mhm.
then it gets forwarded to me. But if they do not book through Booksy, then when they come here, I have a folder for everybody.
Mhm.
And there is the disclaimer, client acknowledgement, terms and conditions,
Mhm.
payment practices, all that. And we go through every single one of them when they get here. They have to sign it. I take a picture of their photo ID to keep it in their file,
Okay.
and it stays on file. And every time they come here, they have to go over the client acknowledgement and the health disclaimer.
Health disclaimer. Okay.
Yeah, because of the COVID thing. And I'm not gonna say
Oh, right.
yeah, but I do want to mention that I did have a client that was told that he was not contagious. So I took him, and he was still sick, and he had COVID. So
Mm.
yes, I know something. And so I asked him for his permission to engage in it. And he messaged me later and said, whatever I did, it healed him. So I don't want you to think, I don't want you to think that, oh, you're sick, you're like scary now. It's not like
Yeah.
that. It's just that I have to make sure that my space is free of, you know, things like germs for other clients as
Right.
well.
So
Yeah.
do you wear masks then?
No,
No
no,
mask. Okay.
no.
So if the person wanted to wear a mask, could they?
Yeah, they could. They could. They
Okay.
usually don't, but they
They
could.
usually
They,
don't.
they might come in with a mask.
Mhm.
Some of them only wear a mask because they need to keep discretion.
Discretion. Oh,
Yeah,
really? So if
yeah,
they come to you and they don't want you to know their face, they would actually use the mask to hide their face.
yeah. But not to keep themselves from me. It's to keep themselves from anybody else from seeing them
Oh, okay.
and making
Okay.
out who they are. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
that's interesting. So this would mean that people are actually comfortable with the possibility that you could probably make clips of this and show it.
Oh, they don't. They'll express that whether or not they want this discreet, discretion. So I honor that. I don't, I don't expose who they are, their names, their pictures, nothing like that.
Mhm.
But they're comfortable enough, or they trust me enough to reveal who they are to me. And I take trust very seriously. I do not play with that because it's my reputation.
Right.
And I value my reputation and
Mhm.
I value your trust. I really do. It's so
Mhm.
important to me because it's so hard, especially in this day and age, like you mentioned earlier, to trust people.
Right.
It seems like everyone's always out to get something for themselves. And that is not my stance at all. It's always been my passion to help others. And this is one way that I'm doing that.
That's really interesting. That's really good, because I really feel that this particular type of therapeutic experience would require sometimes some I guess you would need help from the client to kind of express that this is a great or it's not, because everybody's different, right? And because everybody's different, there may be some, I guess, unique feedback. So if they can at least be discreet with it, that would help with some of the problems that may occur. I know it's something new for everybody. I don't know how it is in Hawaii, but in New York, I only heard of like 2 or 3 different people that have done it, and they have a YouTube channel, so they kind of talk about it, and it's, I don't know, they make sure they give very positive feedback. So I don't know about the weird things. I'm looking more at people who are unable to maybe get a relationship, and like they're in COVID, right? And they're locked down, and they want to be able to try out an opportunity to express themselves in this particular area without the fear of it coming back to them. So if you were able to give that in like using a mask, or they could you protect their privacy and stuff like that, that's actually something that's great. I'm just trying to make sure I say these things over, because I want to kind of like at least turn this into an opportunity to I don't know, there's a good word for that, evangelize this, because I agree with you about it being platonic, and I agree that it should be something that people should be open with. But I also feel like the reason why that it's always looked at as in a negative way, or as like overly sexualized, is because people are probably more afraid of sex in general. I think in America we're really big. We're very aware. Like I guess in a popular setting, we are more uncomfortable talking about sex, especially when it comes down to sex education, for like between raising children, or people like talking about their religion or politics. There are certain sensitive areas. So I'm trying to find out, if you break this down enough, you can start to find out who is in your audience and who isn't, and then you can focus more on that instead of having too many uncomfortable situations, if that may make sense.
For me, the uncomfortable situations are what we need to, or what I want to, or I feel need to be confronted. I actually like difficult clients, or I don't want to call them difficult, but more challenging clients.
So that brings us to my next question then. Who would be your ideal candidate?
Yeah, that's what you asked earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
So my ideal client, someone who is open to new ideas, new I don't know how to explain it, like
open-minded, right?
Yeah, like open-minded, but it's also like not just open-minded, but then willing to engage in what I'm suggesting. Because like there's some people, so at the beginning of a cuddle session, like an actual cuddle session, because I don't know if you visit my Booksy, but I have separated and created tiers and stuff like that, and intros and all these things. Before I had only one type of session, and that was a cuddle session, and it was $250 an hour, unless you book more than 1 hour. Right. But I, since I've opened to the public, and I've, like how you said, trial and error earlier, I went through some trial and error with people. Like some people take longer to let their guard down, or to feel comfortable with a stranger. I'm super down to earth, so I've never truly had an issue with someone eventually, feeling comfortable enough to open up to me, but and be vulnerable. But where was I going with that?
We were talking about your ideal candidate and
Yeah.
how you would
Okay.
actually go ahead and choose a particular client. You said not candidate. I say candidate because it's
No,
it
no,
has
no,
a
you're
mind.
fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
So when it comes to choosing, right, or agreeing to take on a person for, as a client,
Mhm.
it really, how the interaction starts off is big. There's a reason why I do a consultation. On my Booksy, it says consultation is 15 minutes and you have to pay, but it's not true. Consultations are actually free and they can
Okay.
last up to 4 to 5 hours.
Wow.
And that's talking on the phone. Usually it's talking on the phone. But typically they last between 30 to 45 minutes on the phone, completely free of charge. And how I decide to take someone on, it really depends on why they're searching for cuddle therapy. Whether or not they immediately express that they're looking for sex or any kind of sexual contact.
Really, you
Yeah.
really have to explicitly say that to people?
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much I say platonic intimacy. It doesn't matter how much I post that this is not, it's nothing sexual. I have to listen to what they're saying. And though some of them will try and make like they understand that it's platonic intimacy, but then, and I'm like, okay, so when do you want to schedule? And then in text messages, they'll start talking about, this, that, and the other. And it's usually a sexual thing. Like I had someone leave me a voicemail saying, oh, I can't wait to squeeze on you and hold your breasts. And I'm like, that's not a part of it.
Wow. Okay. I'm not really too familiar with it being like people crossing the line because I actually I'm actually like interested in, I guess, like incorporating some sort of like mental health like into my own like a business whole. And it's
Okay.
mainly like, yeah, and the idea about it is that during the pandemic I would use like massage therapy to go ahead and to between like weekly. And I also felt that it was great to have the opportunity to relax, but not have to be where it could be platonic. And I feel because, you know, I mean, like I talked to my girlfriend about it as well. She does not really, me asking her that they give me a massage whenever I need it is not really, I feel as I want to be able to like separate it. Like sometimes you just want the relaxation and you can separate the intimacy later on. But I think that one of the best ways I can actually get that is that I actually see videos of people getting massages online, like little clips. And that's my next question is, do you feel that maybe providing more free content?
Yes, actually. Before the pandemic, I was getting into acting. So I have a group of like contacts in that field, and some of them have agreed to meet up to help me make clips for what I do. We haven't actually done it yet. We're looking for a videographer. One of my contacts has a friend, and so we're still trying to work out the details of actually going forward with that. But we haven't yet. So, but that is coming soon.
So you mean when I'm looking, so I'm thinking like the content would be like you would kind of like reenact like how a
Yes.
session would actually be.
We would actually do a cuddle session. So my contacts, they follow me on Instagram and they're like, are you serious? Like, I thought you were just joking. I'm like, no, I'm serious. So I've asked, I was like, hey, are you willing to this, that, and the other? And they've agreed. So what we'll do is, well, some of them wanted to do practice sessions first. And I'm like, no, I want the quirks and all the mishaps to be caught so that people can see that this is real. You don't have to be perfect.
Right.
You come as you are and we work through it, and I think that is so important because a lot of what inquiries are about, like when we do a consultation, a lot of people are just worried about who they are, how they are, saying the wrong
myself
thing.
included. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about that too. Yeah, I mean, I think what it is because we live in a society where we're making mistakes isn't. We're not really open to make mistakes. You know, if we make two mistakes, we're kind of like, at least from my perspective, I come from more of a technical engineer IT perspective, and making mistakes is kind of like isn't is it's required, but you know, you kind of want to be that person that is always like, you know, made the least amount of mistakes, you know, which I think now it should be. I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be as nice about it as possible, but
No,
I think
you're
being the
good.
opposite way, showing that you can make mistakes and you keep coming back would be great. And
Yes.
yeah, because I think that um, if more people would show the actual experience, it will give people an opportunity to see the model in their head. And then when they come to it, they're less likely to, like, for example, you won't really see too many people being inappropriate in a mall because we've seen enough people in the mall be appropriate, right?
Right.
And
To
you know,
know, yes.
to know. And I think that that's going to be great because I think that the reason why I'm doing these this podcast, I'm trying to, you know, build up my own entrepreneurship is not necessarily for the people who've been around for like the last 40, 50 years, but it's like the next 20 years. You know, there's going to be much more open-minded people, more people who's on TikTok right now, people who are on Instagram are doing things, they're buying and selling items and stuff. And they're going to be the ones that's going to probably be more interested and probably be able to share their ideas and grow in this particular sector. People who are more tied down to their ways will probably be the most challenging, I believe, to get them to, I don't know, act appropriately, or at least save you time, you know, having to, you know, end a session because someone was acting inappropriately. Because
Well,
I've read about that in an article. An Associated Press was talking about a woman opened up a cuddle therapy session where she was actually going to people's houses, and then
okay.
somebody acted inappropriate, like touched her inappropriately, and she told the person to stop, and they didn't stop. And but like they said, the session ended, and she just didn't ask the person to come back again. But she's thriving now. Like it's not a big thing. It's not. But I just think that because of the mistake that happened, it will keep too many people from even trying. You know. So my idea is to try to get people to be understanding that they could try and weed out the problem that may come up. You know, because like I said, like that brings me to my next question: how do people get started in cuddle therapy?
Okay, so I want to touch on what you said earlier
Sure.
about people having to stop a session for inappropriate behavior. Luckily, I am able to control the situation enough that I've never had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But because people, I've realized that people don't know what to expect. And the first session is usually filled with talking stories and getting the vibe of the other, to even feel safe enough to share and embrace. I created an intro to beginners cuddling.
Oh, okay. That's some content somewhere, right? I'll put that in the link.
That is when we go through it together. I teach you, I show you, and we do the talking stories in person. It's in person. I mean, I should probably do a video. Thanks for bringing that up.
Oh no, I just assumed.
No, it's a good idea. It's a good idea,
Yeah.
but it's more like a hands-on experience. Instead of them paying $250 an hour for talking stories with me to feel comfortable, we take that time. It's a lower rate. And although my book says an hour, sometimes the intro lasts 2 hours. It depends on how long we talk stories, because everybody has their own comfortability, level of comfortability with anyone. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we do.
That's good to know. I mean, like, because I really like. Honestly, I'm really looking for like these type of things to work. I really feel like, we could live in a world where, people can reach out to people for physical contact without it being such a stigma.
Like a taboo, yeah.
I traveled and been to Japan for several years, and like the different types of services out there, maid cafes where you can buy food and talk to a stranger, and you pay a little bit more food just to talk to them. They have cat cafes where you can go there with your laptop and cats will be around. You can touch and play with the cats, and 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 like just in that area alone, they've already discovered that you can have these particular experiences. It's just that in America, we're still catching up. We're playing catch up. And because of the language barrier and the cultural barrier, a lot of this stuff doesn't come through. So it would,
there's cuddle cafes too in Japan.
Yes, they have cuddle. Yeah, they have cuddle cafes as well. But the reason why I didn't bring up the cuddle cafe exactly because there's another term for that.
Okay.
And it drives down the area you don't want to go. So, but the idea is that I just feel that I've been lucky enough to be able to be to reach out. I had relationships before, but when I went to Japan, I have a lot of friends who are like otaku, which is like a anime fanatic. I don't know if you know too much about that, where they go decades without.
No, but go ahead.
Great. So you understand, but they're not really reaching out, and they kind of like there's a term in there's a term like it's basically like nijigen no hoga ii, which is like I prefer 2D versus 3D, meaning that they prefer like the art and the design over like real people. And there's this whole process of like marrying fictional characters and completely separating yourself from actual human interaction. And science is already showing us that that's not a good thing. There's even a problem in Japan right now where people get sick and lonely and die in their house, and for days nobody knows about them. And there's actually people who just literally go to different places around Japan, grabbing the bodies, wrapping them up, cleaning out all their stuff. That's like like garbage disposal. It's really there's another term for that. I forgot the name of it, but it's a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah, and loneliness is what people usually die. Suicide and loneliness.
Wow.
And if I was actually like into cuddle therapy for years, I would really want to get that, because I think that's where we're heading to with this pandemic. A lot of people were stuck in the house for long periods of time. Right. People who don't play video games, people who don't who don't really do anything on the internet and like stuck with it. I don't know how. I know for me, I'm adaptable, but I try to spend more time being empathetic to the person that isn't. There's people who have Asperger's, and they're like they have mental, physical disabilities, and they may need to be able to have outreach to it. So breaking down that stigma is it's one of the popular obstacles I think America has to have. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So with that being said, I could just, I don't know if you want to say anything.
You asked a question. What was it? And I said, I want to touch on this first.
I talked about
you asked the question.
The boundaries, ideal candidate, communication is important. Content, creating content.
No, you asked something else. Just before I said, I want to touch on what you said earlier and how I mentioned there was cuddle cafes in Japan. I don't have a scribble though, or I would have written it down. Sorry.
No worries. I mean, if it comes back to you, you can always step with it. I mean, one of the questions I can ask next is it's like 2 or 3 left. It's like various levels of cuddling, like comfort levels, and like do you have like you said you have like something on books,
a tier system.
Kind of, the tier system. Yeah. And what was the other one? How did you handle when like you have a session and people have to like go to the bathroom or something? Are there breaks?
Yeah, they just go. So now most of my clients, I know you didn't ask this, but most of my clients are married.
Oh, most Caucasian. Of them. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Caucasian, military, or Asian local, or Asian local Asian is what I want to say. And so a lot of them need discretion. They come here before work, during lunch, or right after work. So sometimes they have to shower, and I allow them to use my shower because there's a certain, a basic level of hygiene. Okay.
I agree. Yeah, I think I brought that up too.
Basic level of hygiene. And, I make sure I'm fresh for a cuddle session,
Yeah.
I mean, but so that is something that is completely okay. I've never really had someone get up from the middle of cuddling to use the bathroom, but it's usually done before or after. Like everyone has to wash their hands when they come in and wash their feet before we go into the cuddle room. What else? So yeah, bathroom is facilities are all available. I offer beverages, so we make we make our own. So I do I have coffee, I have lattes, herbal teas. I do it all. Not joking.
And that's amazing. I mean, like, so everything's done. Yeah, I'm assuming this is done in your home.
Yes,
So,
it's in my sanctuary. So
okay.
I'm also an energy worker. So like you were saying, you mentioned
What is
earlier,
that?
like, so
Energy worker. I didn't.
yeah, so I'm not really entirely sure how to explain it because I am not full blown in it. I'm just aware that I have that ability. So I can really sense how people are feeling. And I know when things intuitively how a session should progress. So typically, and sometimes I'm so fluent. I've been doing this for like ever. Like one thing I think you sent in the email was, how did I get started?
Right.
Yeah. So about 20 years ago, I was introduced to a lifestyle cuddle group here in Hawaii. So it was, I want to say the group had like 40 some odd people, and we didn't all always meet, but there was 2 to 4 events every year. And people would come together, mingle, eat, snack, play games, and cuddle. It was just such a nice experience. Like, and that's how I got introduced to cuddling with strangers. I mean, strangers became friends.
It's very new. I just can't wrap my head around it. But like, I've heard about several different types of events like that, and it's really interesting to see that where I think Hawaii of all places is probably where it could possibly happen. I mean,
I hear you. Yes, it's just safer
here.
here.
I don't know. People don't even like you looking at them for too long.
I mean, sometimes we can get like that here, yeah. And no, give me the eye, yeah, like but that group has since disbanded about, I want to say like 8 years ago or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we don't really talk about I've never mentioned the name. We don't talk about who was there. Like everything is just like what happens there stays there, sort of thing. But it's typically always platonic. There's couples that come, singles that come. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm hoping to build a community like that where I can do a cuddle event, or even just a gathering. It could be a small gathering. So I'm hoping to get there one day. Now,
do you perform like meetup groups and then?
I haven't yet, but I'm thinking I should. I'm thinking I should. But like I mentioned, most of my clients are married men. I want to increase women. Like I've only had a handful of women that come in, and I want to see more women reach out. I want to see more people of melanated people come out. I want to see, people who have an aversion to touch or intimacy. Usually there's something that happens that creates that rift, some kind of trauma or some kind of betrayal. But like, I do my utmost capabilities or whatever of being a safe place. So I always make sure that I'm at peace, because I feel like it's important for me to share that peace. Because if I like, my energy is somehow that if I am upset, it doesn't matter what I tell you, you can feel it. Like it emits from me, and I cannot engage or be someone's peace if I am in that place. So it's very important for me to be at peace, to be in tuned and in touch with myself enough to know that I cannot, take on a client right now. I've never had a situation like that though, like when someone needs me and I'm like, no, I'm not feeling good, like it's usually I'm booked or I have another engagement or something like that. But I've always been able to just pull that into my reality, that peace that I have within me. I think there was something else I was going to mention, but I can't bring it to my mind.
You were talking a little bit about how you got into cuddle therapy. Then you explained a little bit about how the training is done, and then after that disbanded, you said that you wanted to kind of find more opportunities to be meetups, to have your own meetup.
Yeah. I think one day, but I think first I need to create. I need to find a way to make it not acceptable, but bring more attention to platonic intimacy, like pull away that stigma, because I don't know if you ever checked out the studies, but studies have shown that when you are able to cuddle with people, that you interact in society with others like better. Like your outlook on life becomes more optimistic.
Right.
Negative talk decreases, negative self-talk decreases, and it helps you to have an elevated mood. So like for me, it's like a lot of people come to me also if they're stressed out, whether it's work or their relationship. And depending on their level of stress, I will give them an idea of how many times I think they should come, to book a session, whether if they're in an intense situation, I'm like, maybe you should see me 2 times this week or once every 2 weeks. I have some clients that see me once a month. I have some clients that, like how I was telling you, I really appreciate the challenging clients. I've had clients, they come, they try the session, it's not sex work. So then they try to convince me to do sex work. I tell them it's beyond my scope of services, which is my favorite line. It's my favorite. It's so easy. That's beyond my scope of services. I love it. Anyways.
That's very professional. Yeah.
I know, right? I came up with that myself.
Outside my scope of expertise.
True. but I'll say that, and then and they'll spend like maybe a week or two trying to convince me, and I'm like, no, and then about a month or so later they'll book me like 2, 3, 4 times in 1 week, and I'm like, why did you do that to yourself? And not to
like
make fun.
They're not gonna pay, are they? They book and they pay, right?
Yes.
So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. So I really feel that you're probably gonna run into people who there's probably people who will go to the doctor because they like the doctor and they make up stuff, right? The doctor's probably gonna take their money, right? But is there a way to maybe, I guess, approach this problem with a more, I guess, creative solution?
Wait, what do you mean?
Meaning that maybe you can prevent people from actually doing what they're not supposed to do, but not turning them down to when you lose revenue in your business.
Well, I don't generally turn people down. So like even so for instance, with clients that come, they say it's not sex work, then they try to convince me to do sex work, it doesn't happen, so they don't see me, so they don't book until a month. Until a month or so later. And at that time they usually apologize for their behavior and all that kind of stuff, so I'll take them on because I get it. I am so down to earth. People like have no clue. I totally understand that some people do things because of whatever urges they're feeling. I get it. Even people who start off contacting me on looking for sex work, I'm like, okay, well, this is inappropriate. When you're able to exercise how to be appropriate, feel free to contact me. because I'm, you look at my site, look at my Instagram. That is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to be there for you on this level, not that level. And eventually they either book me or not. And I'm totally, whichever way it goes, it goes. It's no skin off my back. I'm here. And because I have to mention that of utmost importance is safety. You know what I'm saying? My safety, your
the
safety
of the client, yes,
is of utmost importance. So I could not, and also not setting people up for failure. I would not allow someone, let's say a new client, to book a 5-hour session. Most people can't have a difficult time with anything beyond 2 hours, especially as new clients, because of all the hormones flowing through your body, which is what's supposed to happen, and then arousals do happen. I just want to say that, but the arousal is not the issue. It becomes an issue.
How do you handle that? That's one of my questions. I said, how do you handle the when unexpected things arise? Like, do you take a break?
So I don't care. So the session can continue as normal. The only thing that will stop a session is if you or the client cannot or has a difficult time respecting boundaries. And I've never had a session that I've had to cancel. It's always I tap you, or I let you know that that it's inappropriate. Like, I've had people, and this is why I created the tiers, the beginners, intermediate, and advanced tiers, because I had new clients, like, they big spoon me, and so while they're big spooning, they might start kissing my neck.
I'm sorry, what is big spoon?
So big spoon, you know what spooning is, right?
Yes, but like,
so the big spoon is who? Okay.
Well, yeah, they do not.
You all should know that. No. Okay. So big spoon is whoever is embracing the other from the back.
Okay.
So yeah, the little spoon is
like, you have a
whoever's
little
in front.
spoon, you have a big spoon, and like the big spoon would be the back, and the little. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would let clients big spoon me, and then they'll start kissing my neck and my shoulder, and I would have to tap them and say, hey, that's, can't do that. Usually I just tap them and it's fine, or tap them a few times, because sometimes they try again, and I'm like, I've had people, like, when we're facing each other hugging, they try to kiss me, and I'm a gentle. I didn't say this, but I do gentle guidance. I don't bitch at you. I don't scream. I don't do none of that. So when people try to kiss me, I'll either turn my face. If they try again or whatever, I'll put my fingers on their lips, and that's it. I don't be like, oh, what, you fucking stupid or what? I don't do that. Oh, you gotcha. Fucker, get out. I don't do that. I because I get it. it. This is what you're longing for. And but I am not able to give you that. I can give you anything before that. Okay, just about. Okay. And I'm willing to. I'm willing to, because I love. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just want to make sure I'm.
I was going to say, because I love, I find much enjoyment in expressing love, and in a platonic safe zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And for the record, I'm abstinent. So going beyond that is really not in my things to do list.
Right. So, so I'm assuming that you have, this sounds like you, the question I actually was going to ask was, how do you handle clients that catch feelings for you? And you had pretty much, it sounds like you have a few experiences. What, like I said before, what, in the state of Hawaii, for example, sex work is completely illegal. Is it?
Yeah, it is, but it happens.
No, I know it happens.
A lot.
I know it does. But what I'm trying to say is, like, that would be one of the very first things. But so if somebody does something like that, it would be reaching. You'd be kind of reaching in that particular area.
Right.
So the idea is that do do you feel that like this is a big problem? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, but like when you have female clients, right? How would you address your content for them? Because it sounds like you had a lot of male clients, and this is kind of like what happens. This doesn't happen with the female clients.
No, it doesn't happen with the females. Normally come here when they're going through some kind of serious relationship issue.
Mm.
Whether
Relationship
it's a
issues.
breakup or their significant other's abusive, or and they just need someone to talk to hold them, tell them it's okay to cry. That has been most of my experience with female clients.
So crying happens during the female.
Yes,
session.
a lot. Some men too, but I think I've noticed it way more often with women. And like I'll see them trying to hold it back, you know. I'll see them, they're like trying to talk without crying, and I'm like, it's okay, you're totally okay. Would you like a hug? And that's when they will come. It's kind of like women tend to start off on the opposite end of the bed, and I'll just be sitting there and let them feel, get vulnerable, reach their own comfort level. They usually start talking immediately. We almost can never do a meditation or eye gazing or anything,
right?
Because they just have all this stuff on their chest that they just want to relieve.
Out,
yeah. So it's usually immediately talking with women, and from there, they'll get into whatever their situation is. And like I said, they'll be holding back tears, trying not to cry. And I'll let them feel that for a moment. Like I don't like intervene or anything. I just like, okay, I verbalize my understanding, my sympathies, my empathies, whatever.
Right.
And then they reach a certain point and I'm like, would you like a hug? And they'll be like, yes, please. And then they'll try to hug me, and I'll do the mother's embrace with them. So I'll be sitting with my with my legs out in front of me, and then they'll come here, and I'll hold them like this, kind of like a mother's embrace, or sometimes like a cradling, and they just bawl. And I've never actually cried with them, but it's
you emotionally feel.
Yeah, I want, like I almost want to, but I've learned to put up like a sort of like an emotional or energetic force field where I acknowledge that these feelings are being felt, but they are not my own. And if I break down with you, I don't think that is good, because I'm supposed to be like, how do I explain? Not neutral, but I'm supposed to be sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm supposed to stay at like a neutral or above level in my emotions. I'm not supposed to fall down in it with you, because my goal is to help bring you up here, not for me to come back down here. I don't know how to explain it. I see an energetic worker for myself, and he explained it very well. And I was like, that's what I need to do, but I can't think of it right now. But I'm so sorry.
No, you're perfectly okay. So basically, let me just paraphrase what you're saying. You basically tried to keep a neutral energy state, a neutral state,
or higher.
Or higher than the client's natural and energy state, because of the
whatever
fact that,
they're in, right?
Yeah, whatever, because you want to be able to help them to maintain this session,
and pull them out,
and pull them out.
Yeah, okay. In a sense, because I can't help you if I'm down here with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I have to be at neutral or above at all times during a session.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's really interesting. So looks like right now you have the males are one way, the females are another way, and this is this sounds like both these are heterosexual, male and female.
Yes, I some might be bi,
Okay.
but predominantly hetero. Yeah.
Right. Like their relationships are
Yes.
heterosexual
Yeah.
relationships. So that's why the men are like connecting. I mean, I don't know, but like they're connecting with you in these particular. I'm just trying to get an
Yeah.
understanding because, just talking to you over the last hour or so, it seems that it can get very complicated with um services of like where you're actually communicating social service like with a human being, a human being. You know, everybody's different, right? And
Right.
you might have different clients that you favor because you click with them better, but you, as you said, that you want more challenging clients because I guess it helps you better become a better therapist.
Well, I like challenging clients because, like, I don't think, how do I explain it? It's a challenge. I love challenges, but
Mm.
also to help them see that there's more to life than
Mhm.
sex. Or if you really look at it, some men, they
Mhm.
put their value in sex. And I want people to know that they're beyond that. That's not inherently what makes them valued. They can be valued for who they are,
Mhm.
how they are. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like their
So can
mind,
you
their,
can you give an example of like how I guess some men would value themselves with sex exactly?
well, what I'm saying is like for instance, I like to help people. I've
Hmm.
helped all sorts of people. I've helped people that needed a place to stay, people that needed a ride somewhere, food, whatever. It's
Hmm.
what I do. Even with my family, we do outreach. But sometimes, like when you help, even women act like this sometimes. Like when I help someone,
Hmm.
they feel like they have to pay me back through sex. And it's important for me to let them know that that is not why I'm helping them. That is not where their value lies. Their
Hmm.
value lies in who they are as a person. And I've helped people throughout the years, and that has
Hmm.
been a pretty common thing. Like it's not that I would be like, oh, I want this from you, but they would just try to seduce me. And I'm like, I would never like, I don't like when it's something like a place to stay, not having food, something like that. It's the power dynamic is there. So I
Hmm.
would never be like in a position of that kind of power over you and want you to perform for me. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but
I mean,
that's
I get it. I mean,
what I've
I get
seen.
it. Yeah. I did
Yeah, even
what because I see that what it is like from your perspective, you're trying um to I guess showcase the idea that you're providing these services and this help without them having to return any having to give you anything in return.
right.
Um,
I mean, outside of the transactional nature of the cuddle therapy stuff, yeah, no, yeah,
right.
no, I do
And
not. Yeah,
yeah, and
sorry.
because of that, many you might run into men who were because like most of the men that you usually help are usually focusing more on a physical payment. I don't know. I don't know how to really say it.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
I'm not sure
you,
either, but
you
yeah.
want to, yeah, you want to really avoid those things. What I'm trying to say is like the idea of the particular like the cuddle therapy is that you want to help people and you want them to
Right.
kind of like get able to treat themselves or like be able to experience something without that element um
Right.
in the in
In the
the particular
mix.
sense in the mix, right?
Right.
And that usually is there. So, yeah. So
Right.
do you feel what do you think politically, if you were able to, what do you think would be necessary in our like for example in the state of Hawaii for this, what do you think they would actually would need to propose to help this become more of a natural or um, uh, more mainstream where you be able to help people to become more comfortable in this without it having to bring the sex into it?
I think well, I don't know how it is out there in the States. or other places in the world, but in Hawaii, schools have new rules, and they've had these rules before COVID, where children can't touch each other, like they can't hug, they can't hold hands, they can't high five, and that was never a thing. So I actually think we're taking a turn for the worse, because physical touch is so important, especially in our younger years. I'm not going to say like just because you're older you don't need it, but showering children with loving embraces and whatnot, that is so important for their development emotionally and psychologically, even physically. I don't know if you've ever heard of I think it's Fredrickson studies, where this guy was just off the chain, but he took a bunch of children, babies, and did experiments to see how long they would live without having physical touch.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that study. Yeah, I've heard of that study. Yeah. And like many of them couldn't last 11 months or something like that.
They died. None of them. The study was never completed because all of them died. Now, and he did another study. So he did one study where people, nurses or whatever, would just feed the baby but hold the baby while being fed, and that was like the only touch that, I'm so sorry, that was the only touch that they got. But then he did another study where no one is to touch the baby at all. They just had to feed them by holding the bottle. Those babies withered away and died. And there's a phrase for it. It's called the withering disease or something like that, but they all died. So I'm just trying to touch on that. Although my services are at this time only for 18 years and older, everyone is in need of platonic, safe, loving embraces, or physical contact is what I'm saying. But back to your question, what were you saying?
No, I mean you're good. We were touching on a lot of different things.
I know, I do that. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. I think this is a good session. It's good. It's what I'm just trying to make sure I touch on all the questions. Why do you believe that there's such a relationship when you just drive? Yeah, we just since the relationships don't make sequence. Okay, yeah, all right. And I think I just have one more question. Like the family oriented. Like how does your family consider, like what do they think about you, hugging strangers for a living, or I don't know, for the business?
I hear you. My parents, they didn't know about it either, but my family didn't know about the cuddle group that I was a part of, because it's like you don't disclose that. So that's a private thing. But they didn't know about that. So when I talked about doing cuddle sessions, my brother, he owns a bakery. He sells stuffed cookies. He was like, what? He's like, Velma, what? I was like, yeah. I'm getting paid $200, $250 an hour. So yeah, I'm gonna do it. And they were like, what? Da, 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 da. So they were really shocked and surprised that that's something that I started like doing out in the open. Like I said, they never knew anything before the beginning of this year. So I started sharing it with the public. Now, as far as my kids and stuff like that, they're totally like, oh, fine with it. I do have
you have children. That's all. Yes. So you have children. They know.
Yes,
about
I
it.
do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have children. Look at me. Of course I have children. I'm just joking.
No, I don't know. I'm just.
No, I'm playing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I'm playing. No, I had a guy tell me like, you're gorgeous. I don't expect you not to have children. I'm like, I know, right? No. But anyway, I'm just playing. But I do have a stepson, and he was like, I think he had a crush on me, because he and his father and I was together for only like about a year. But then he was like telling my son that, does he think I'm really just cuddling and stuff like I'm like, no, seriously, it is. I think he might be a bit of a bad influence on my son, but but that was a thing. Like I had to like share with them and tell them like, hey, it's not like that. Check out my Instagram. Like I had to explain it to my stepson more so than I have to explain it to my own kids. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think that is very interesting when you add like you have to tell your family, because your family is always going to think certain things as well. But you said you had like that was your stepson. Totally
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's slightly different, but no, with my family, like my family's super supportive. Like even if we don't see each other for years, because I have sisters that moved out to the Carolinas, you know, even if we don't see each other or talk to each other for years, we've always been super supportive of each other. Even if at first we're like, what, you know, like, what is that? We're always there to support and be there for each other, no matter what. So I was never worried about being shunned or not being accepted. That's not being accepted is not a thing in our family, you know?
Not being accepted. Got it.
Yeah, definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all my questions here. Are there any maybe, things you might want to, if let's say you were interested in doing like therapy outside of the Hawaii, like how would you what would you want people to know so that way they can have the best session with you?
Well, can you ask that question again?
Yeah, so the idea is that, what would you want people who don't know you to actually to know, if that makes sense? For example, if you were going to do, I think you had a post on your Instagram about you might go to Florida.
Go to Orlando, yeah.
Orlando, yeah.
Someone asked me.
So how would you go? Because these people don't know and they're not from around the community. Like, you don't have the content out yet.
Yeah, I don't have the intro yet.
So people wouldn't be able to. And to me personally, I just personally envision like being able to kind of see what they're about. They can quickly get educated with like quick 15-second videos. And what would be, would you want us to talk more about the platonic spots and talk about what's not good, or would you focus more on what the benefits are? Like you would take a candidate that is willing to talk about something about how they were going through, and then that person's able to see the benefits. This way you might be able to use the algorithm of like Instagram to attract people who are suffering from X, and you in the session gave them Y, stuff like that, without running into too many of the problems that might run. Because I know challenges is great, but it's time is money, and
yeah. With cuddling is not all that I do. I also I'm a caretaker for elderly veterans. So I wear many hats. I help at the bakery. I do all sorts of things. But when it comes to possibly going to Orlando, I've had people reach out to me, and I let them know, and they like I said, I'm not here to set anybody up for failure. So I'll talk to you, I'll chat with you until I get a feel of your situation. And although like if you want me there for a private thing, like a session, the client is responsible for, all my overhead, flight, room and board, all that. But to make it more affordable for someone that may not be able to show that, I tell them like, hey, if you can get at least 6 people together, I'll be happy to come out there. I have family out there I haven't seen for years, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like how you said, what would I focus on? I would focus on the positive. I don't like to spend too much energy dwelling on the negative, because I feel like you tend to attract that if that's what you focus on. I mean, acknowledge that it exists. You know what I mean? Like, don't pretend it doesn't exist, but you want to focus on the correct behavior. You want to focus on the good things or the desirable behaviors that you prefer. So that's what I would do. I would stick to the science-based information. which all support cuddling or platonic intimacy.
Right.
I would tell whoever, like I've told whoever was trying to book me, I said, hey, you come up, you go out there and find people who want to book me, and I'll make a thing of it. So that's basically what I would do, and I can't wait to get the content out there, because I think that would be a huge stepping stone as far as getting the info out there, helping people to become more familiar with what to expect. And I think that's a huge thing, is that people don't know what to expect. A lot of people book me because they're like, oh, I'm curious what that is. I've never heard of that.
Right.
Or I've had people be like, oh, they have cuddle places in Japan, and I was just surprised to see it here. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, well, I actually didn't know that. So I had to Google it, And so and I was like, oh, that's cool. They have like cuddle pods and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think I could ever have an actual commercial spot here, not until there's more understanding because so many people want discretion. Most of my clients want discretion.
You said something about the actors, though.
Yeah, but those are my friends. Like
but you would use what I'm trying to say is, like, you ever watched I know this is very bad. This shows my age. Unsolved.
I used to love that thing.
Unsolved Mysteries. Okay.
Yeah.
So they would go ahead. They would take an actual report, and then they would re-dramatize.
Right.
So what you would do is that you can probably take the actual session and then just re-dramatize it with someone on the video. What I really want is the content, because I want to be able to, like, share content. My clients, me personally, I'm like a technical person. I'm trying to kind of build clientele to help create content for social media. Like, or I do like audio clips and websites and stuff like that. And I also have a very comfortable with the algorithm, how to share your stuff across different platforms using one or two tools. And one of the things I want to do is say, hey, these people, I know this person, you do this. Like the woman, Angie the Diva, I was talking to, she was a comedian. She raised her children teaching English in Vietnam before the pandemic. She moved, she's in Hawaii, actually. She does
awesome.
She does stand up in that's kind of like why I talked to you. I was like, oh, maybe you guys know, or I don't know.
No.
Yeah. So, but I know Hawaii is a big state. Maybe small, but it's big. But
and there's many islands too. She's on Oahu.
Many islands, true. I think she's in Honolulu. I'm not sure.
Okay, so she's probably on Oahu. Okay, I'm on Oahu too.
Okay, so if she's on, so that's the case. I just think that I would want to be able to kind of showcase that there are people out there doing different things, and even talking to you, it always builds me inspiration to keep going, because personally, it becomes so easy just to fall back into what I was doing before.
Right.
Like
for anybody.
For anybody, and I want to be able to do it, and like just hearing your ideas inspires me, and I kind of like also want to get that as well. I think that's another reason why I just keep doing it, because I thank you for taking the time to stop and talk to a stranger and talk about your business and stuff. And if you have been interested in like learning about anything technical or anything about social media like that, I can be willing to help you to point you in the right direction.
I'm new to Instagram. I don't know if you saw, I just started recently. So
I couldn't tell. You seem to be very confident.
I know, right? No. I've been on TV, dude. I've been on TV. I've been in the news. Hey, yeah, I've been on stage. But I do. You asked something earlier about how do people get into this, and I didn't answer that, and I'm so sorry.
You said something about the meetup, the group that
that's how I got into it.
Oh, okay.
Right. But deciding to open up to the public, because a lot of my clients moved to the mainland. If not all of them, I don't know, or we lost touch, they got married, whatever the case may be. But opening up to the public, that's a different thing. I've tried different cuddle platforms, because I found out that there's cuddle platforms. I'm like, okay, interesting. And some of them, like some of them might require you to do some kind of training through them and pay, a month, pay a thing, then pay a monthly thing. And I was not into that. I'm like, why? I've already had like 20 years experience with this.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. Like, I think there's enough business that you can actually go on your own Like you don't need to be on a platform that tries to suck more
Right.
money from you.
Right. But on top of that, I've never gotten anybody out of any of the platforms. So, and I've actually had people contact me and ask me if I could train them on how I do it. Because
Okay.
I like to think that I do mine a little differently. Like I haven't seen any other cuddler offer like the tier system and intro, and other things like that. Like I think
You have like an online course then?
no. I'm gonna work on that, but everything is in person. Like I mentioned, the intro is in person. Because I'm like a hands-on person. I learn better if we're talking and we're doing it while I'm learning. That's how I learn best. I know some people might just do a video and be great with it, but I'm the person like I want you to correct me as I'm doing it if I'm doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying? So
but I just think that the online thing would probably be good.
Yeah, it probably would. And my friend brought that up too. And I'm like, I just don't know what I'm doing. So I'll have to look into that. And she found something. She was supposed to send it to me, but we haven't gotten there yet. But it is something that I'm looking into having available, like even for clients, potential clients, and for people that want me to train them.
Yeah,
so
I mean, like, I'm actually interested in like learning about it because I kind of want to like build something like that over this side of the globe.
Where are you anyway?
I'm in New York. In New York.
Oh, you're in New York. Man, I was out in New York for
so
a
it's
while.
like 3:40 in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I lived out there for a little while when I was 19.
Oh, okay. What part?
It was so different from Hawaii. Oh my gosh.
Oh, of
my
course.
experiences there.
Yeah.
Dude, I got abducted once. And there was
abducted?
3. Yes, I got abducted once, and there was
like
3
someone
attempts.
Actually.
Yes, snatched my beautiful ass. That is just, no, but for real. That's so. I didn't realize that you were in New York. I lived on Sherman Avenue. I don't know.
I said it like 3 or 4 times in the media mail.
I'm sorry.
I talked about the podcast.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure it's clear that I'm not like I say it constantly. It's just that I guess maybe I should put it on a stamp or something.
No, you're good. Because I skim. I don't necessarily read thoroughly unless I hit something. Yeah. But I used to live on Sherman Avenue, and that's like the last A train stop. And it was like Dominicanville.
It's like not Rocky Point, Rockaway Parkway, near over there, near the beach, the ocean.
No, maybe the other side.
Oh, the other side. So that's like Queens.
Yes, Queens was near, but not very near, but near.
Okay.
Yes, I know that one. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm in Brooklyn, so like it's closer to like Rockaway. You could take the A to the beach. That's why.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I mean, it's probably was like that too when you were in IT, but like it hasn't changed too much. Only thing that changed now is that the trains are much slower now because of the whole pandemic now. So a lot more delays and stuff.
And I wasn't thinking about the beach when I was there because it had snowed, and I think I was told it was the first time it snowed in years. And it was snowing, so there was no beach on my mind. It was
how did you
get warm and stay warm.
How'd you get out of that?
The abduction?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay. Let me tell you how it happened. So, you know how you mentioned Unsolved Mysteries? My mom had us watching that ever since I was little. So I always had like this scary idea of the we call it the mainland here, mainland or the States. Okay. So I stayed with my aunt out there, and I always had this idea that I never wanted to be stuck on the last train. Okay. But something happened, and I ended up, I thought it was the second to the last train, but it ended up being the last train. I was busy on my phone, and back then it wasn't smartphones. It was just I was playing Snake or something on my phone. And I looked, the train stopped. I looked up, and I heard the doors open, and it didn't ever close. I looked up, and no one was in there. I was the only person in the whole train, no one in the subway, nothing.
Right.
And I eventually walked out. I hesitated big time. I was like, should I just sleep under a chair? Should I just wait until morning? Like, I wasn't sure what I should do. But anyways, I decided to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I walked slowly. I was paying attention. Like, I didn't hear anybody talking. So I was like, okay, I'm good. So I'm walking through the gate, and I can see, like, I get to a point where I can see like the corner of the stairs to lead up to the street.
Right.
To street level. And so I start, like, speed walking, like walking faster. And two guys were around the bend. And then they approached me, and I was still walking, and they were like, "You're one of Crazy's girls. You're one of Crazy's girls." Da 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 da. And I was trying to, like, walk not directly to my house, but I walked down the street. Next thing you know, I'm being shoved into a black car. They keep trying to tell me I'm somebody I'm not. I said, no, dude, I am here from Hawaii. I don't know what you're talking about. And they just kept insisting that I was somebody. I was somebody. I was somebody. I know who Crazy is. I'm like, who the fuck is Crazy, dude? Like, literally. And
Wow.
then something told me to just shut up. Stop contradicting them. Just leave it alone. So I left it alone. They took me to a motel or something. I'm assuming it was a motel. I didn't see a sign, but that's what I think it was. They took me to a room, and they was trying to have their way with me. One guy was really big and one guy was kind of small. So I convinced them, let's go take a shower. It's been a long day. We're hot and sweaty. Let's go take a shower. So I took off my clothes in front of them and headed to the shower. Went to the shower, started showering up. The smaller guy came in and to shower with me. So I'm showering him up, I have them thinking I'm doing, I'm along with whatever the fuck they want to do. You know what I'm saying? So I play with his balls a little bit. And I'm like scrubbing him up. He's like, oh man, come in here. So the other dude comes in, and like the other dude is really big. So like there's like not enough space. So I do the same thing with him, shower him. I start washing their hair. I put a shitload of soap in their hair, play with their nuts, and I rinse off. I'm like, okay guys, I'm going to get out the way so y'all can rinse off. And I'm going to be waiting for you guys in the bedroom. I get out, throw on my clothes. I look around real quick for anything I could use. My phone was dead. Can't call the police. So I left. I wanted to bust their head I wanted to hurt them so bad, but I knew I couldn't take them. So I left. I went down to where I saw the guy go. There was like a glass. So I went over there. No one was there. I'm like knocking on the window. No one's responding. So I leave, and I don't know New York. You know what I'm saying? So I have no idea. I still don't know to this day where the fuck I was. So I'm like running down the street, and I come across like a guy working on his car. And he saw me, like, I don't know. He was like, hey, is everything okay? Like, and I was like, first he said hi. And I said hi. And he was like, is everything okay? I was like, no. And I hesitated, but I was like, no, two guys are trying to rape me. He was like, what, where are they? And I said, they're someplace that way. And he was like, okay, do you want to jump into my van? Just lay down, don't make any noise. So I did. I was like, it was either two guys or this one guy, and I'm pretty sure I can handle one guy. So I jumped in the van, and I want to say like 5 minutes later, I could hear the guys yelling and running, and they ran right past us. And I could hear them like saying like, where the fuck did she go? Where the fuck did she go? And they were running. And then I guess they noticed the guy there. They stopped somewhere, turned around, came back up, asked the dude, hey, did you see anybody come this way? And the dude was like, oh, I've just been working on my car. Cause he was literally working on his engine. And he was like, oh, I don't know. I was, just working on my car. I didn't really notice anybody. And they wasn't finna leave. Like they were like standing there, like waiting, like, hey, are you sure you didn't see anybody? He's like, I may have seen somebody going that way. And they're like, okay. And then they took off. And that was the end of that escapade. The dude did whatever he did with his car, drove me home. And that was the end of that. So yeah.
Amazing and how you can go from such a traumatic experience like being kidnapped and literally like being like sexually harassed or raped or whatever the case may be, and now you're still comfortable with communicating with total strangers in your house. And
I'm
because sometimes in the society that like I grew up in, like usually like that usually leads to people who usually come to you as a client. rather than you becoming very open and doing that. I mean, like, I don't necessarily know every single case, but
Yeah. I hear you.
being honest and being open about yourself is actually one of the best, things that you can do to get more clients. But I definitely, I'm happy you were okay. You didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Have a wild experience.
It was crazy. I mean, I just listened to myself. My intuition said stop contradicting, because if I fought them, they would have done something more drastic. You know what I'm saying?
So did
And
you
that's
actually call the police and get them arrested or anything?
no,
Or?
I don't know them. I don't know where it was. I don't know anything. So I just went home.
So
My
you just
phone was
walked
dead.
off and didn't.
Yeah.
They had your face. You had theirs. Wow.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean,
And
like,
they never came back. They never came back around where I was. Yeah, so it was never an issue. And plus, I stayed indoors more. But then I was normally indoors anyway. You know what I'm saying? I just made sure not to be on the bus. And remember, I told you when I went there, I never wanted to be on the last bus. That was my intuition telling me, bitch, don't be on the last bus. That was
the last bus.
I mean, not bus, train, the last train.
The last train?
Yeah, I was on the last train, and that's what it was.
Yeah, but then, I mean, I don't know. It's been a while. Like, usually the trains run 24/7.
Well, that time, it's been about 20 years. About 20 years. And it was just before or around the time they had just discontinued the tokens for the train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was around that time.
May I ask, like, around what year was that?
2000. I want to say 2002, maybe. I want to say 2002, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Metro cars did come out, a while after that. Because I remember when they actually got the tap now, where you can tap your phone.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that was definitely not there.
Before then, they had the Metro strip card. They still have that now, but they phased out the tokens.
Yes, around that time. Yeah, because I remember hearing something. Yeah, I was keeping them too. I'm like, I'm gonna save this for souvenir. I had 3 left, and I was like, I'm not using them. But I moved so much, I don't know what happened to them. But but they were doing the swipes and also tokens at the time when I was there. And then they discontinued the tokens while I was there, and I was like, oh man. Wow. But yeah, so that was one thing.
That's really good to have that story, but maybe you could use that to kind of build out your brand of like why you feel that you can stem away from that. Maybe you can drive more women who have been, because like that's really good. Like let's say I use this clip towards like cuddle therapists and saying that this woman here had a traumatic experience too, and she's a cuddle therapist now, so she can overcome traumatic experiences. And maybe that'll be a great way to kind of get more women to be driven towards you, other than the ones that are having problems with like relationships and stuff.
Yeah, possibly. Like, I feel like that's how come, like, I've experienced like a wide spectrum of human behavior. And I'm comfortable with myself. I listen to my intuition now more than ever. Like, that little voice in your head. Yeah, that's probably your intuition telling you, but I used to not listen to that. I used to just like, oh, there's no evidence of this or that. But when it counted, I listened. Like when that voice said, shut the fuck up, stop contradicting them. I was like, okay, bitch, I got you. I was like, okay, I hear you. But I have to say, like, for a bit, I was a little more secluded. Like, I was like, I should have listened to myself, never got stuck on the last trait, but I, like I said, I feel like I've experienced so many faces of people. So I'm aware of the spectrum, that it just helps me to be more down to earth and more understanding and more open to just how people are. And I kind of use like, because we are the product of our experiences. So like when I hear a certain type of person, like the way they come to me, the way they talk to me, if they're respectful or not. Respect is of utmost importance in this field. you know, because if they can't respect you off the bat, even just in a phone call or just in a text, they're probably lacking a lot in there. So if they did decide to book me, their intro would be strongly based on teaching boundaries and consent.
Right.
You know, and during that intro, there's only a very short cuddle session at the end, just so we can practice what we learned. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah. So it's like I was so glad that I was able to share that with you. I only recently started sharing that experience with people.
Well, I'm thank you for sharing. I really do appreciate, you know, the whole overall, like it sounds like it's a very scary experience, but if you can laugh it off like that, it must be more power to you, you know.
It wasn't scary. Well, it was I didn't really feel fear. Like I wasn't stricken. I was aware, because once you give way to fear, right, you tend to not be able to process what's going on very well. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And respond appropriately. Mm-hmm. Like me telling the guys, hey, let's shower together, dudes. Like I didn't really I think I convinced them with the stripping part. That's probably what did it. They're like, oh shit, yeah, let's go in the water, you know, but I never knew that they would just go along with it. Mm-hmm. I put my best step forward. Like I should totally be an actress now. No, but
hey, you never know. I mean, like it sounds like it's. I mean, like you're quick-minded. You're quick. You know, you're a quick thinker in when you're stressed. So
yeah,
being able to kind of, because like sometimes I'm pretty sure people might not be freaking out and screaming, and you know things can go wrong really fast. So,
but you see, my mom had me watching what Unsolved Mysteries, Law and Order. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm aware that things could get severely worse. They could have knocked me out. They could have. I don't know if they had a weapon. You know what I mean? Like there's things that there were so many elements in that situation that I was not aware of, and I didn't want anything to be brought out that I could not handle. Like once a gun is out, once a knife is out, I'm immobilized.
Yeah, and like none of that was actually brought in. They just pulled you into a car and started screaming at you. There's no weapons and nothing.
Yeah, nothing that, and remember, I got them to strip. I got them to take off their clothes. So even if they had weapons on them, they didn't have none in the bathroom. Okay. And I was long gone before they came out. And I put so much soap in there. You ever watch those pranksters that put soap in those people's hair when they're rinsing off at the beach shower? That's kind of what I did. Yeah. So they were in there rinsing and rinsing and rinsing. I was all like, let me just put a little more. You know, it's still a little dirty. I'm serious. They were in there for a hot minute. Like I was able to dry off, put on my clothes, look from my purse, look from my phone. I took a look at the phone that was there. They had like vodka bottles out. I'm telling you that movie scenes of busting bottles on people's head did run through my mind. But I was like, no, that's movies. That bottle's not going to do shit, you know? And I was thinking I could call 911 right now and I could just be on the phone. I was like, no, that's not going to fucking work. Because guess what? I'm still in the situation. So I left. I hightailed that shit. I got out of there. And I'm here to this day. So at least I've never been abducted again. I've never been abducted again.
And that's very interesting. So, I mean... So thanks a lot for, I really appreciate it. We're at 4:00 right now. I definitely will be sending you a copy of this if you want. I'll maybe make a little transcript. That way you can copy that stuff. And I'll be talking to you through the Decision Theory. Decision Theory is my new podcast. Every year I spend, I go through a topic. More minds like machine learning, AI, and how it's going to affect our social and technology side. Like there's like things like the metaverse that's coming into our society, and how AI is being used in our everyday life, like being able to make a living utilizing things like NFTs and cryptocurrencies. But I'm learning about it, so I quickly talk about it and share it there. And I'm also pursuing my master's degree in computer science. So like there's a lot of different things I'm trying to put together. And I feel that talking to people, even like this way, really helps me to practice a lot of social skills, because I'm kind of shy and kind of quiet. So you wouldn't notice that.
Cuddle session.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So So that's kind of like why I'm doing these things. But thank you very much for talking.
Yeah.
I definitely will send it to you shortly when, you know, a couple of days.
No, whenever, thanks, Chris. I appreciate you. Thanks for all that you do. I mean, I think what you're doing is great. And I wish you all the success.
Same to you, Val.
Thank you. You too.